Right now, there is a clock ticking on every password, every encrypted message, every banking transaction you've ever made. And that clock just got a lot louder. Because last week, Shanghai didn't just announce a quantum computing program. They opened an entire industrial zone. 26 companies on day one, hundreds more expected within 3 years. And the money behind it? It's the kind of money that changes timelines. Let me say that again. The kind of money that changes timelines. Here's what nobody is telling you about what's happening in Shanghai right now, and why it matters more than you think. So the question you should be asking yourself right now is, why should I care about a quantum computing hub in Shanghai? Here's the part they don't put on the box. Quantum computers are not just faster computers. They operate on completely different principles, exploiting quantum mechanics to solve problems that would take classical computers thousands of years. And one of those problems? Breaking the encryption that protects everything you do online. Now here's where it gets really uncomfortable. The encryption you're using right now, the HTTPS on your browser, the end-to-end encryption on your messaging apps, the security on your online banking, it's all built on mathematical problems that are very hard for regular computers to solve. RSA, elliptic curve cryptography, quantum computers running Shor's algorithm, they eat those problems for breakfast. And Shanghai just opened a dedicated industrial zone to build them at scale. Let me give you the full picture. On Tuesday, Shanghai's Xuhui district officially launched the Shanghai Quantum Computing Future Industry Incubation Zone. 26 quantum companies founded it on day one. The goal? Incubate hundreds of quantum computing companies. But wait, it gets worse or better depending on which side of this you're standing on. The funding programs attached to this zone are not small bets. Up to 100 million yuan for foundational research, technology innovation, and shared platforms. That's nearly 15 million US dollars per project. Up to 20 million yuan for companies developing their first commercial products. And on top of that, additional subsidies to reduce the cost of accessing computing resources and validating new technologies. Think about that for a second. They're not just building a lab, they're building an entire ecosystem. Universities, research institutes, startups, companies developing practical applications, all in one place. Biomedical research, financial technology, and the part nobody's talking about, the deep integration with artificial intelligence. Xuhui District is already Shanghai's principal AI center. It houses StepFun AI, the Shanghai Artificial Intelligence Laboratory, and Minimax. Now they're layering quantum computing on top of that AI infrastructure. Are you starting to see the pattern here? Now let's talk about the money. Because the money tells you everything about how serious this is. Last week, the same week this hub launched, Taiyi Quantum, a Shanghai-based quantum company, raised 300 million yuan in a pre-A funding round. That's about $44 million. Pre-A. For context, pre-A funding usually goes to companies that are still proving their concept. $44 million to prove a concept. But Taiyi isn't the only one. QBoson, based in Beijing, is already exploring quantum applications in cancer research and drug discovery, not theoretical, applied. And then there's SpinQ, Shenzhen-based. They achieved what the industry calls first quantum unicorn status. They raised a total of 1 billion yuan, that's $147 million otters, in their latest funding round. Let that sink in. A quantum computing company valued at over $1 billion in a technology that most people still think is 10 or 20 years away. Here's something that might shock you. This isn't just Shanghai's ambition. This is China's national strategy. The 15th Five-Year Plan, covering 2026 through 2030, explicitly identifies quantum technologies as part of strengthening advanced manufacturing and emerging industries. This isn't a research project. This is industrial policy, and Shanghai is not alone in this race. Hefei, the capital of Anhui Province, is one of China's best-established quantum centers. As of last year, Hefei was already home to more than 90 quantum-related companies, roughly one-third of all such companies in China. Beijing introduced a policy in 2023 supporting future-oriented industries, including quantum computing. Shenzhen identified quantum computing as one of 8 strategic industries, alongside photonic computing, blockchain, spatial technology, and neural science. 4 cities, billions of yuan, one national strategy. Now here's where it gets really uncomfortable. Here's the thing. When a technology becomes a national strategic priority, timelines compress. Experts used to say practical quantum computers were 15 to 20 years away. Some still say that. But when you inject this level of funding, when you build dedicated industrial zones, when you subsidize computing resources, when you create an ecosystem of universities and startups and corporations all competing, timelines move. There's a concept in cybersecurity called harvest now, decrypt later. The idea is that adversaries collect encrypted data today, your messages, your files, your transactions, and store them. They can't read them now. But when quantum computers arrive, they'll decrypt everything retroactively. Everything you've ever sent, everything you've ever stored, everything you've ever assumed was private. Let me say that again. Everything. The most dangerous part of this isn't the technology itself. It's the asymmetry. The encryption that protects you took decades to build and deploy. Quantum computers could break it in hours. And the race to build those computers? It's not happening in a single lab somewhere. It's happening in dedicated industrial zones, funded at the national level, with hundreds of companies competing to get there first. So where does this leave you? The transition to quantum-resistant encryption is already happening. NIST finalized Post-Quantum Cryptography Standards in 2024. Companies like Proton Mail are already rolling out quantum-resistant encryption to their users. But here's the part they don't put on the box. The migration is going to take years. Every website, every app, every service you use needs to update its encryption. Some will do it quickly, many won't. In the meantime, the quantum hubs are scaling up. The funding is flowing, the clock is ticking. If you're not paying attention to the quantum race, you're not paying attention to the biggest threat to digital privacy in the next decade. Tell me in the comments, did you know about Shanghai's quantum hub before this video? And more importantly, are you worried about what it means for encryption? Share this with someone who still thinks quantum computing is science fiction, because right now it's being built. Not maybe, not possibly. Right now. Stay informed, stay private, and stay skeptical. I'll see you in the next. If this video made you think about the future of your digital privacy, hit subscribe. There's a lot more where this came from.